Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into some truly explosive testimony from the Madlanga Commission. It's the kind of story that starts in one place, a ransacked public hospital, but ends up connecting the dots all the way to the highest levels of politics and organized crime. All right, let's kick things off with a number. Just let this sink in. 2 billion rand. It's one of those figures that's so huge, it's kind of hard to even picture. But you have to get your head around it because this number, it's the key to this entire story.
So where did that 2 billion rand come from? Well, according to the Special Investigating Unit, that's the SIU, it was all looted, stolen from a single public hospital, Tembisa Hospital. I mean, this wasn't some abstract budget. This was money for medicine, for equipment, for taking care of sick people. And it's just gone.
But here's the thing. What if that massive hospital heist was just the tip of the iceberg? What if it was just the beginning? The testimony we're looking at today suggests this is way bigger than just some shady contracts. It's like one piece of a giant, really disturbing puzzle. And today, we're going to put those pieces together. Okay, first things first. Let's follow the money. We're going right into the details of this 2 billion rand hospital heist. And let me tell you, the SIU's report on this, it's not about a few accounting mistakes. No way. It reads more like a step-by-step manual for how to systematically gut a public institution. So how'd they pull it off? It was incredibly organized. The SIU found that it wasn't just one group, but several different criminal syndicates. They allegedly set up hundreds of fake companies, shell companies, with one single purpose, to win bogus contracts and just siphon money out of the hospital. We're talking one fake invoice after another, adding up to hundreds of millions of rand for each of these syndicates. It's wild. Okay, and right here, this is where the story starts to get a lot bigger. In the middle of all this fraud, the SIU flagged one name in particular, a company linked to a guy named Vusumuzi Kat Matlala. His company allegedly got 13.5 million rand from these dodgy contracts. Now you're going to want to remember that name, Kat Matlala, because he is the thread that's going to connect this hospital fraud to everything else. See? That name, Matlala, it's the key. Because the testimony we heard at the Madlanga Commission claims that the Tembisa hospital job wasn't just some isolated scam. Now, it was supposedly the handiwork of a very powerful, very organized crime cartel. And this cartel even has a name. Lieutenant General Dumaseni Khumalo. He's the head of crime intelligence. He stood up and called them the Big Five. And get this, he described them as a massive organization, not just local, but with international links. Their main gig? Drug trafficking. But their tentacles, he alleged, reach right into the heart of South Africa's most important institutions. And they don't just stick to one thing. Khumalo painted a picture of a diversified criminal business. You know, if the drug money wasn't flowing, they'd just pivot, move on to other things to keep the cash coming in. And we're talking really violent, high-stakes stuff. ATM bombings, cash-in-transit heists, the whole 9 yards. So then Khumalo actually named names. He pointed to 2 of the 5 alleged leaders. First up, you guessed it, Vusumuzi Kat Matlala, the same guy from the hospital contracts. And the other is Katiso KT Malefe. And what's crazy is that both of these guys are already facing other super serious criminal charges that have nothing to do with this testimony. The plot just keeps thickening, right? Okay, so we've got a hospital heist and an alleged crime cartel. But hold on, because this is where the story takes a really sharp and honestly a pretty alarming turn. This is the moment where crime and politics allegedly crash into each other. Khumalo didn't just make accusations, he presented evidence that seems to draw a straight line from this Big Five cartel directly into the world of politics. So what was this evidence? Well, it all comes down to some WhatsApp messages. These chats were supposedly pulled right off of Vusumuzi Matlala's phone, and the conversation is allegedly between Matlala and another guy, Brown Mogotsi, who is described as a businessman and, more importantly, a political fixer. And what's in these chats? Well, Khumalo claimed they show Matlala making direct payments to Mogotsi. And why? The messages apparently say it was to cover expenses for ANC events. And not just any events, but specifically for delegates that were connected to the office of the police minister, Senzo Mchunu. I mean, wow. So what you have here is a classic quid pro quo, right? An alleged you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours situation. The testimony suggests it worked like this. Money from the cartel flows into political circles. And what do they get in return? Political influence. The kind of influence that can supposedly make criminal investigations difficult, or maybe even make them disappear. And then there's this one message that just lays it all out. It's allegedly from Mkhwanazi to Mkhwanazi, sent right after a massive police contract he had was canceled. It reads, and I quote, "I see you have been ignoring me and promising me things that never happened. I'm taking all this to the media." I mean, that sounds less like a business dispute and more like a threat from someone who feels like their side of a deal got betrayed.
So, okay, let's just take a step back for a second and look at the whole picture here. Because if these allegations are true, what does that mean for the country? This isn't just a story about one hospital anymore, or even one cartel. This is so much bigger.
What Kamalo's testimony really suggests is that the cartel's endgame was to get people on their side at the very top. We're talking judges, top cops, politicians, you name it. The whole point was to be able to pull strings, to mess with investigations, to block justice. Basically to capture pieces of the state itself, to protect their criminal empire. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. As political analyst Sunday Swana pointed out, these bombshell allegations really hit a nerve. They tap into this deep-seated public fear about systemic corruption, that the line between the ruling party and criminal activity has just gotten way too blurry. Which, it leaves us with one final, really important question. The whole story started with a looted hospital, but where does it end? It ends with a question about the integrity of the entire state. Because when the very systems that are supposed to protect you and me are allegedly hijacked by criminals, who ends up paying the price? It's always the ordinary person, isn't it?